Have you ever packed up after a craft fair feeling totally defeated? You spent weeks pouring, labeling, and perfecting your candles, but by the end of the day, the sales just weren't there? You start wondering, is it my product? Am I doing something wrong? Well, first, I want you to take a deep breath, because you're not alone. So many amazing makers face this exact frustration, and it's not always about the quality of your candles. The truth is, there are hidden psychological factors at play. Things that you can't even see, but that quietly influence whether shoppers stop, sniff, and buy. And today, I'm going to be breaking down 5 surprising reasons why your sales might be slow, and what you can do to turn things around. And a quick disclaimer before we dive into this isn't an all-inclusive list. Every event is different, every audience is unique, and results vary. These are just patterns that I've seen firsthand and backed by doing some research that, it just might help you troubleshoot what's going on. So if you've ever felt like giving up after a tough fair, stick with me because these insights could change how you sell. So let's start with the biggest driver of candle sales. Scent. Why is scent so powerful? It's not just about smelling good, it's about memory and emotion, right? So when someone smells your candle, their brain is literally firing off connections to experiences. Holidays, cozy nights, a childhood kitchen, etc. Psychologists call this the Proust effect, how scent triggers nostalgia and emotion faster than any other sense. That's why a single whiff can turn a browser into a buyer. In fact, industry research shows that 75% of candle buyers say fragrance is the #1 factor in their purchase decision. But here's the kicker, and it's something that I've had to learn the hard way. Heat can sabotage you, right? So at outdoor fairs, especially in the summer, your candles are fighting against the environment. When wax heats up, it can start to soften or sweat oils, and the fragrance that should be pulling people in becomes almost non-existent. This is what we call weakened cold throw, the scent that your candles give off when it's unlit. I've had days where I noticed people barely smelled anything when they picked up a candle, and they just put it back. It's not because the candle isn't good, because it is. It's because the environment is dulling that first impression. And the challenge doesn't stop there. Heat can also affect shoppers themselves. Studies show that hot weather drains energy and patience, meaning people are less likely to stop, sniff, and engage with your products. So now that you've got 2 forces working against you, weaker scent and lower shopper engagement. So how do we fight back against this? Here are a few things that have helped me, and they might help you too. So rotate your candles. Keep extra stock in a cooler or an insulated container and swap them out like every hour or so the scent stays strong. You can also create like a scent experience. So instead of relying on the candle's cold throw, set up a small fan diffuser or wax melt to gently release fragrance into your booth. When people smell it before they see it, they're drawn in, right? You can also use emotional scent descriptions. So not everyone can smell strongly in heat. Labels or signs like fresh linen on a summer morning or warm sugar cookies by the fire trigger the same emotional responses. You can also offer a tester candle under shade. So like you can keep at least like 1 candle in an optimal spot where it's cooler so shoppers can experience the true scent. When you control the scent experience, even on a brutally hot day, you're stacking the odds back in your favor. Because remember, when shoppers connect emotionally through scent, that's when they typically open their wallets, right? Now, let's talk about pricing psychology. And I'm gonna be completely honest here. This is a struggle I'm currently dealing with myself. So right now, I only offer 1 size, an 8-ounce candle for $25. And while I'm proud of that candle, it's worth every penny. I've noticed something. At fairs, some people pick it up, smell it, then hesitate, right? So they like it, but they're not ready to commit to that kind of price point on the spot. And this isn't about whether $25 is too expensive, because it's not. It's about how our brains process choices. So psychologists call this price anchoring. When shoppers only have 1 option, there's nothing to compare it to, right? So the $25 choice feels like the only choice, and that creates hesitation. But when there's a smaller, lower priced option, like a $10 or $12 mini candle, the buyer suddenly feels more comfortable. They can test your product at a lower risk, and that makes the larger candle feel like a premium choice. And I'll admit, the thought of adding a smaller size has been overwhelming. I spent so much time perfecting my formula, and the idea of retesting everything for a new jar size feels daunting. but after doing this research, I'm starting to see how powerful that easy yes item could be. Not just for sales, but for building customer relationships. Think about it. Someone who tries your smaller candle loves it and comes back later for that $25 size. That's a win. Even better, you can use this to create a bundle deal, like 3 minis for $30, which would increase your average sale without lowering your value. So if you're like me and only have one size, maybe this is something worth testing. You don't have to overhaul your entire line overnight. Start with 1 or 2 cents as minis, see how your customers respond, and adjust from there. Because at the end of the day, it's not about offering more options just to have them. It's about giving your buyers a clear, easy path to say yes. Now, let's talk about something that might be hurting your sales, and it's not your product. It's your booth. I know how much work goes into making candles. Weeks of pouring, labeling, testing, only to set up at a fair and have people just walk right by, right? You start thinking, what's wrong with my candles? But here's the truth. It might not be the candle at all. It could just be that first impression that your booth is giving off. Psychology tells us that shoppers form opinions in as little as 3 seconds. In that tiny window, their brain is scanning your booth and asking, do I want to stop here? If the answer isn't an instant yes, they keep walking. Why first impressions matter so much. Humans are wired to make snap judgments. It's part of how our brains simplify decisions. At a fair, where there are dozens of booths competing for attention, those judgments happen even faster. Shoppers' eyes scan for cues. Is this interesting? Does it look professional? Does it feel worth my time? Right? A booth that looks cluttered, flat, or inconsistent sends the wrong signals. It tells shoppers without words that this isn't special, or worse, that this isn't worth your money. Even if your candles are the best in the world, their brain has already moved on. These are some of the common mistakes I see and have made myself. 1, overloading the table. I used to think the more options I displayed, the better, but it just overwhelmed people. They didn't know where to start. Flat layouts. When everything sits at the same height, nothing stands out. It looks uninviting and forgettable. Mismatched branding, random tablecloths, handwritten signs, clashing colors. All of these subconsciously scream inconsistent and no focal point. If there's nothing to draw the eye, people's brains skip over you. And maybe you're thinking, but I'm at a craft fair, not a fancy store. And here's the thing, your booth is your store. For the day, it's your entire brand. Here's where we shift from pain to solution. Think vertical. Levels create visual interest. Use crates, risers, or tiered displays to bring products closer to eye level. Your best candles should never just sit flat. They should stand out. Keep it cohesive. Choose one tablecloth color that matches your branding. Use signage that feels professional, and repeat your brand colors in small accents. When everything ties together, shoppers subconsciously perceive quality. You want to guide the eyes. Group candles in sets of 3. Use small signs to call out bestseller or new scent, and place your strongest sellers front and center. This tells the brain where to look first. Use lighting. If you're at an evening fair, soft battery-powered lights or fairy lights make your booth glow. It's amazing how much this changes a shopper's behavior. They're drawn right to the light, like a fly. And you want to create a mini experience. If your booth just looks like a table with stuff on it, it's forgettable, right? But if it feels like a small boutique, shoppers stay longer, they touch things, and they buy. You can even add small props like a cozy rug, a few plants, or seasonal decor to create an atmosphere. And here's where psychology really kicks in. Presentation sets perceived value. If your booth looks high-end, shoppers expect to pay more, and they're okay with it. If it looks thrown together, even a fair price feels expensive. The way you present your candles tells customers what they're worth, long before they check the tag. I've seen it myself. After reworking my booth to feel more intentional and boutique-like, not only did more people stop, they also bought without questioning the price. Here's some advanced tips to go even further. Smell trail. If you can, have a subtle wax melt or diffuser releasing one of your scents. Let people smell before they even reach the booth. Have some interactive elements. Add a scent of the day or small sign inviting them to pick their favorite. Engagement equals connection equals sales, right? Customer flow. Arrange your table so people can step in and explore, not just grab and go. When they linger, they're more likely to buy. At the end of the day, your booth isn't just a table. It's your brand. It's your storefront. It's your first handshake with every customer. Treat it like your best employee, because when your booth is working for you, everything else gets easier. The fourth factor that can make or break your sales isn't something you can pack into your car. It's the energy of the event itself. Now, we touched on heat earlier when we talked about how it hurts your candle's scent throw, but there's an even bigger layer to this. Heat and atmosphere directly affect how people think, feel, and spend. When the temperature rises, shoppers change. This isn't just an observation, it's backed by research. Studies show that extreme heat can reduce consumer spending by 10 to 20% because it drains both physical and mental energy. And here's why. Mental fatigue. The body uses more energy cooling itself, leaving less focus on browsing and decision making. Shortened attention span. In discomfort, shoppers want to move quickly. They won't stop unless you give them a strong reason to. It reduces impulse buying. Heat pushes people into survival mode. They avoid extra stops, they skip browsing, and they buy less unless they feel it's absolutely worth it. And this goes beyond individuals. The entire event vibe shifts. Crowds thin out, conversations are shorter, and vendors may retreat into waited out mode, which only lowers energy further. At its worst, heat doesn't just make people uncomfortable, it kills the fair's mood. Without energy, the entire shopping dynamic changes. But here's the thing, while you can't change the temperature, you can change the experience at your booth. Here's how to fight back. You can make your booth a cool oasis, right? Shade, a small battery fan, water misters if possible. Comfort attracts. You can be the energy. Stand, smile, and actively engage shoppers. Vendors who bring life to a low energy event stand out. Use urgency. On hot days, shoppers want to get in and out. Use signs like today only or fair exclusive to push quick decisions. You can also offer micro freebies, right? A tiny wax melt or scent strip. Something to encourage stopping even briefly. And then there's factors beyond the heat, like the alcohol factor. Now, let's talk about something that dramatically changes event energy. Whether alcohol is being served. And I know this is a sensitive topic for some, so I just want to say this is an observation about shopper psychology, not a moral stance. At events where alcohol is available, wine festivals, beer gardens, night markets, you'll often notice a different vibe. People are more social, they stay longer, and studies show that alcohol lowers inhibitions. So this isn't just about drinking, it's about how relaxed people feel, which makes them more open to conversations, and yes, impulse buying. I've seen it firsthand. At events with alcohol, shoppers chat longer, joke around, and even often buy without overthinking. They're in a positive, festive state of mind, and that energy feeds sales. But there are two sides to this coin. While alcohol can create more open and fun atmosphere, it can also lead to rowdier crowds and unpredictable interactions. Your role as a vendor is to ride that energy while staying professional and setting boundaries. So if alcohol is being served, lean into the social energy, engage with humor, tell the story behind your candles, and don't be afraid to suggest bundles or gift ideas. Keep your booth upbeat and professional. You're there to sell, not party, right? Now, if alcohol is not being served, you can create your own vibe. Play soft, inviting music, if allowed. Offer interactive elements like vote for your favorite scent or run a mini giveaway to pull people in. Use lighting and decor to make your booth feel lively, even in a quieter environment. In evening fairs, warm lights make your booth a magnet. Music. Even a soft playlist at your booth, if allowed, encourages shoppers to linger. Your layout. If you're stuck in a dead corner, you have to work harder. Wave, invite people in, and use strong signage to stand out. My experience, I've been at fairs where the sun was relentless, the energy was gone, and sales were slow. But I've also learned that when I became the vendor who smiled, chatted, and offered small extras, I stood out a little bit more, and sales picked up, even when the event environment said otherwise. Now, on the flip side, I've worked lively evening markets where the energy was so high, it was contagious. Shoppers stayed, laughed, and bought in multiples. In those settings, my job was to simply keep the momentum going. So here are the key takeaways. Event energy, whether shaped by weather, crowd mood, or even alcohol, has a huge influence on buying behavior. You can't control these factors, but you can adapt to them. Create a welcoming booth, engage with intention, and match or elevate the energy around you. When you do, you'll see the difference, even on tough days. And the fifth and final factor that might be quietly hurting your sales is something that most vendors don't even think about: the entry fee effect. Have you ever noticed that at events where people have to buy tickets to get in, they sometimes buy less once they're inside? You're not imagining it. This is a real psychological phenomenon. When shoppers pay to enter a fair, they've already spent money before they even see your booth. Psychologists call this mental accounting. People mentally categorize expenses, and once they spend on admission, they subconsciously tighten their wallets on everything else. This isn't about whether they can afford it, it's about how they perceive value, right? So after paying to get in, they expect the event itself to deliver entertainment or value, not necessarily to spend more money at an individual booth. Studies on museums and paid festivals show that attendance drops when there's an entry fee, and per capita, spending inside often decreases unless the event has strong perceived value. The same logic applies at craft fairs. There's also an emotional side to this. When someone has to buy a ticket, they may feel like they've already given enough. This is especially true if the event fee was high. Subconsciously, they're less likely to make impulse purchases unless something feels special or like an extra reward. So how do you overcome this entry fee barrier? You can't change the ticket price, right? But you can change how shoppers perceive what they get from you. Here's how. Offer event-only exclusives. When someone has already paid to get in, make your product feel like part of the event's specialness. Offer a fair exclusive scent, a limited edition candle, or an entry-only bundle. If it feels unique to the day, people justify the purchase. Use small thank you bonuses. Add a tiny freebie like a mini wax melt with purchases. This makes buyers feel like they're getting added value, balancing the cost they've already sunk into admission. You can create tiered options. No, we talked earlier about having an easy yes item. This becomes even more important at paid entry fairs. A lower priced option like a $10 to $12 mini helps hesitant buyers make that first step. Once they buy something, they're more likely to return or upgrade. Tell the story. Remind people why your product is worth it. Share the time, care, and craftsmanship behind your candles. When people connect emotionally, they see value beyond the price. Then you want to match the event theme. If the fair has a theme, seasonal, holiday, local pride, tie your product to it. Use signage like made just for event name. This makes purchases feel like souvenirs, not just products. And my experience with paid events, I've done fairs where I noticed this exact behavior. At one event with a $10 entry fee, shoppers browsed but were hesitant to buy. I started offering an events only scent and gave a free wax melt with purchases, and it changed everything. People felt like they were getting more value and they responded by buying more. At another paid festival, I bundled items like buy two, get one free. And it not only offset spending hesitation, but it also boosted my average sale. So the key takeaway, paid entry creates mental spending barrier. Your job as a vendor is to lower that barrier by increasing perceived value through exclusive, bonuses, and emotional connection. When shoppers feel like they're getting something special, they'll buy despite the ticket they've already paid for. So there you have it. The 5 hidden psychological factors that could be quietly hurting your craft fair sales. Scent memory and how heat can dull it, pricing psychology and the power of an easy yes item, your booth's first impression, the silent salesperson, event energy from heat to the vibe, and even how alcohol can shift shopper behavior, and the entry fee effect and how to overcome spending hesitation. Now, I want to emphasize something here. Slow sales doesn't mean your candles aren't amazing. Craft fairs are unpredictable. Sometimes it's not about the product at all. It's the environment, the psychology of the crowd, or small factors you can tweak. The good news, now you know what's really going on and how to adapt. Even small changes like rotating your stock, adding a mini candle, or creating a booth experience can turn things around. And remember, every fair is a learning experience, every single one. You're not failing, you're collecting data, growing as a maker, and getting better every time. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. Which of these 5 factors do you think hits you the hardest at fairs? Have you noticed slow sales on hot days? Or maybe you've seen a boost at lively social events? I'd love to hear your experiences. Go ahead and drop them in the comments so we can learn from each other. If this video gave you some aha moments, hit that like button so more makers can find this. And if you're ready to dive deeper, go ahead and please subscribe, because also if you want to go even deeper, I highly suggest subscribing to my YouTube membership. I even added a new tier where we can do one-on-one coaching / mentor sessions. So, we can kind of discuss your specific brand and how we can throw ideas off of each other to help you grow as well. But anyway, please, I really appreciate everybody watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.